I discovered with my co-author Peter Onuf, we discovered that Jefferson was a much more religious person than we thought of before, that he studied religion and studied the ideas in religion much more than people would typically think. We discovered and talked about the importance of family. We knew that. But I think in actually delving deeper into all of this, how everything flows from Jefferson's conception of what the family means in society and how that affected his view of politics. So there were things that we knew. Peter and I have studied Jefferson many, many years, but it was much more a way of trying to bring all of the things that we'd learned together. He was somebody who was seen as a man ahead of his time, and he was ahead of his time in lots of ways. In a lot of ways, he wasn't ahead of his time, and we talk about that in the book as well. But I think his sense of the notion of freedom of individual liberty, his notions of the importance of separation of church and state. I think in particular that is something that has resonance for people today. So he was seen as an avatar of the new, and even during his time, and I think that's sort of carried over till now. Well, I was concerned primarily about the way African Americans, the voices of African Americans, were treated in historical scholarship. Jefferson's family had one story about what happened. Jefferson's legal white family had one story about what happened, and African American people had a different one. And it seemed to me that historians were putting a thumb on the scale for Jefferson's family because they were white, because they were upper class, because they were the established people, and the people who were sort of downtrodden in a way, or not in a way, in a big way, were sort of treated as if what they said didn't matter. And I resented that. It was not so much about proving that Jefferson had a relationship with Hemings. It was really about revealing the way historians wrote about the subject. So that was my intervention. I'm doing something called a Jefferson Reader on Race. I'm going through and taking out all of his writings about race, not the just traditional things and notes on the state of Virginia, but plantation records, letters that he wrote, and doing sort of an essay around the various topics. So that's going to be the second thing. And then I think at some point I'm supposed to do a 2-volume biography of Jefferson, but I think I'm also going to turn to Texas, my home state, as a possible subject. So there are a lot of things up in the air. But I'm always reading things, and I'm always looking for stuff. So the research never stops, but I'm going to get to it in earnest in the next year.